Back to the generational rundown, everybody. Hi.
Hi, Alexandra.
So today, before we get into a really great interview with Leo Figueredo about fitness and mental health to stay on the topic of the month, we want to just do a little bit of Hollywood hot topics because this dating scene in Hollywood is wild right now. So let's get right into it. We have the former Patriots head coach, Bill Belichick, dating a 24-year-old. He is 72. That is an almost 50-year age difference. Mom, what is happening?
I personally think it's disgusting. I could see if somebody's, 15 years younger and where they are in their life. But this age difference is to me unacceptable. I don't consider myself conservative, but I just think it's totally inappropriate. I think it's fine for men to date younger women, women to date younger men, but this is just too far out of the spectrum. I'm not buying it. She clearly has an issue and he clearly has an issue. He's taking advantage of her. She's using him for the money. How she could be attracted to this man, age difference, is disgraceful. I don't know anything about his life other than he was in a long-term relationship prior to her,
Right.
and his ex-girlfriend was younger, but I believe she was not this much younger. And apparently, this girl I read about today, she actually had a boyfriend that was in his 60s. So apparently she likes older men, but this is like grandfatherly. Yes, money,
Right.
money.
And
For
she's a
those
cheerleader on the Patriots.
yeah,
On
for
the
those
Patriots.
viewers that can't see us because we're on YouTube, if you're just listening to us, Alexander just did the hand signal,
For
like money.
money.
Yeah. I mean, clearly it's
I
disgusting.
mean, it's just I do think I'm not even trying to be like when I hear stories like this, I do think in some scenarios age is just a number, but I don't believe that you can genuinely have anything in common with someone who is in their 70s when you're in your 20s. It's a completely different generation. You don't use social media the same. You don't have the same interest in music. You don't, no matter how much of an old soul someone is or a young free spirit, you're not on the same page. You want different things. A 24-year-old who is a cheerleader on the Patriots wants to go out and party. I'm sorry, she does. She wants to be seen. She's a cute girl, right? And when someone in their 70s, at some point they want to go to bed before midnight. Like I
Right.
like to go to bed before midnight. I don't know what they're getting from each other, except it has to just be he's happy to oblige because a young, pretty girl wants to date him. And maybe he doesn't care that it's for his money at this point because he just got out of a 16-year relationship.
Right. And a lot of men, this is how they identify with their youth, right? And their mortality. By dating young women, they feel more like they have so much longer to live and more to give. And I just find it's very disgusting, very egotistical. I mean, I can't imagine if she has a mother or father what they're thinking, or siblings or friends. But to me, it's like pedophile-ish. I know she's an adult, but it's disgusting. It's just, I mean, you might like, what is that like? What now? Are what 5-year-olds gonna date? I mean, it's disgusting. I know a 20 some odd year old woman is of legal age, but it's still disgusting. I just don't know how any other way I would say it. Again, social media, magnifies this stuff. In my age bracket, when I was growing up, we didn't have social media. So obviously things might have been disgusting and just inappropriate, but you didn't see it splattered all over the internet because we didn't have internet.
Right.
Now we can just do a tap and see it. I'm horrified. I think it's disgusting.
Right.
Dis-
And apparently a source said that, he doesn't see it as being a serious long-term thing, but that he sees what Jordan could want from him, and she's really pretty and attractive and all these things, and she might not be a cheerleader anymore. I'm not actually sure. But the thing is, I just don't believe that sources or no sources, oh, this might not be long-term. It's just weird that it's even short-term. And I don't, and apparently this has been happening for over almost a year. So we're only finding out about this now. So she's been doing this behind the scenes for like a year. And I'm sorry, I don't really have respect for someone like that. Maybe if she came on the podcast and told us a little bit more about her life story and what attracted her to Bill, you can come on anytime and tell us. But like just reading this from the papers, I'm not really sure what's happening.
well, it kind of makes me think we got to have the horny housewife back on our podcast.
Yeah,
George, the horny housewife that we like. We interviewed her a few years ago when we were first starting. I'd love to get her take on this scenario
me too.
and what she thinks social etiquette, social rules. I mean, I know a lot goes, like she's very open about the whole interaction between man and woman. I personally would love to hear her response to this kind of rendezvous, because to me, it's disgusting. That's all I can say. And you
Crazy,
know,
crazy.
capital, I have to say with the capital D. It's terrible.
Disgusting with a capital D. Yeah, I know. All right, moving on to something else that's capital D, disappointing. Jen and Ben. What is happening? Seriously, what's going on?
So, I don't know. She cancels her big tour, but now she's on vacation in Italy, no
By
less.
herself,
Right, right. Like Ben's with his daughter. So
taking photo of her butt, like she's getting all the good angles. I'm like, is that for Ben? Please let it be for
I
Ben.
know.
Like, what's happening?
And something weird. I mean, I was reading, he said, like, oh, I'm so surprised. This was really weird. I'm so surprised how like famous she is or how much attention she gets. Like, I read that somewhere and I was like, really? Ben, like, you didn't know that? Like, look who you're married to. You didn't realize that she's like so famous and gets so much attention. I found that really bizarre
Right.
that he's just shocked, like almost like that's part of the reason he's not happy. Like he's not comfortable in the relationship. She's getting more attention, more than he could imagine. It's bizarre to me. So what do you think? Are they headed for divorce? Another D? Disappointment and divorce?
I honestly, at this point, I don't think things look good. I think it's very weird that she went to Italy herself. I think it's very weird that the house is on the market or it's about to be on the market, their marital home. And now I was really in denial for a long time, kind of like Kyle and Mauricio, but now I fully believe that they're going to split up. Like, this doesn't make sense. You canceled your tour to spend more time with your family. But really, I think we all know that ticket sales were bad, and that what felt like the secret reason of why she possibly canceled. But now
Yeah,
you're by yourself in Italy. I mean, and I applaud her. Maybe she needs to get away from Ben and his depressing attitude or whatever's happening, and she wants to be by herself so she can breathe for a second. So more power to you. I totally am like seeing where she's coming from, but at the same time, it sucks. Like, I guess they're headed for divorce. And I don't understand. This was like a whirlwind marriage. They went apart after 21 years. They found each other again. Why is it not working? What went wrong? Is it that she does love fame so much? Is it that she didn't water their marriage and he doesn't want the spotlight? Like you said, he wasn't used to the fame. Is he
it's
just
so
doom and
weird.
gloom and she doesn't like his attitude? Like, who's initiating what?
I never saw them together. He always looks miserable. She's always up, up, up. I mean, I don't know. And like, she's not with her kids. What's going on with her kids? Like, I thought they had like a little bit of a connection too with their children. Weren't they like certain the same ages and some
They
of
do.
them?
Their kids are very close in age, and J Lo was at Ben's child's graduation party. She's
Right.
been at family events. She was hugging Ben's mom. So I'm wondering what's happening. Is she part of? Is that for just a face? Is that for appearance? Are they trying to make it work? Are they fighting constantly? I'm gonna definitely stay on this because I have a feeling that before the end of the summer, prediction that there's going to be a statement put out by her about their split.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's it seems like after this, I think she needs to just hang up her marriage. I mean, what, she's been married, what, 4 times?
I think going forward, apparently the tour is not done with. She's going to go back and tour in 2025. So I think she just needs to put in guns ablaze into tour.
Okay. And then what is going on with Taylor Swift? I have not been following. I will admit, her and Travis Kelce, I heard some rumors of them getting married, that he was going to propose. Is that just a rumor?
That's just a rumor. He did go on stage with her the other night, this is what I talked about a little bit, I think, with you. At one point, I thought Travis Kelce was a great catch when he was just a football player. He was a handsome football player. He wasn't vying for the spotlight. He wasn't making a big media frenzy. And now he wants to be a singer. He's
What?
performing places. Oh, yeah, he like
What?
performs places for
What?
fun.
A
Yeah, he
singer?
performs places for fun. He just performed with Taylor Swift she brought him out on stage and he did a dance number for her tour in London. And he loves the spotlight. And I think it's going to end badly because I think that he's so addicted to the fame. It's one thing if you're, in my mind, dating like a handsome football player who's like low key, but now he, does a lot of things in front of the camera. He's getting into production, getting into TV, and he wants to be
Oh,
a star. So I don't
oh
really
my
see
gosh.
this working.
I didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a good singer at least?
No, he just like he's done like charity events singing. Like he's not in the studio trying to make an album, but he
But
wants
he
the
wants to sing.
spotlight. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's on stage with her in London. And I just think it's like, no, I think either no, I just don't see it happening.
No.
I think that's really bad.
Ugh, that's awful.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. Wow. Well, I
Let's
hope
let's talk about Kyle Richards. because you
Yeah.
had a bone to pick with her, as did a lot of people, about her buying her 16-year-old daughter a Porsche. But I will say, Kyle said it was Mauricio's idea and he got the purchase and you had to take it up with him. So what do you think?
I think absolutely not. I have 3 kids I've raised. You got a Honda, which you're still driving your Honda. Olivia got a Jetta, and Evan got my old Buick Enclave that I had to rebuild. I think it's totally inappropriate, no matter how much money you have, what you can afford, to give your 6-year-old a brand new car like that. Yes, if you want to get a brand new car, fine. But to me, they have their whole life to shoot for something like that. And I feel like it's to me very materialistic and it's very entitled. And I don't think it gives any type of purpose in the child's life to appreciate, to learn to work for things. My dad was a doctor. My mom had totaled my car in a snow accident, and my dad replaced my car right away. I never asked what kind of car, I just got it and I was happy. I was so happy. My first car was my grandmother's old, what was it? I forgot the name of it. Yeah, I think I may have told you. They don't even make it anymore. That's how old it was. But I had an old car and I was happy to get that when I turned 16. The only reason I got a new car is my mother totaled my car. And I was so thrilled to get a Jetta Volkswagen. I didn't care about the color, the type, nothing. So I think it's wrong of the parent to do that. I think it just is somebody trying to buy their kids love and to kind of spoil them and brag. Look what I can afford for you. I don't, even if you're a stellar child,
Well, that's what she said. She said she's a really good kid.
I don't think that should be a measurement. Yes, that's great. You get, maybe then you get a car. You just get a car. But to have a Porsche at 16 for just because, I don't think it's a necessity. I don't think you're teaching your kids values. And then those kids grow up and they expect more and more and more. When you grow up with not as much, or you're more minimalistic, you no matter who you are, you appreciate those things more and more
Mhm.
as you grow into adulthood. So I am against that as well.
Yeah, that's
So
a
I
very
would say,
thing, a hot
yeah,
take, a really hot take.
what
But
about
I
you?
agree.
If you had a child, what do you think?
I don't even know because I want a new car to begin with. I don't have a kid. It's really hard. I see both sides. I see the fact that if you can afford it and you can do it for your kid, like why am I not going to give my kid something nice? But then I also see like you want to work towards things in life and exactly like maybe get the brand new 2024 Audi or Mercedes, but to do a car that extravagant, you're right, that doesn't really, I just don't think that that child will have the same level of work ethic or value of a dollar as someone who A, obviously has to work for their car, but B, doesn't get a really expensive car right off the bat. Then you do expect that life luxury. And do you even know the value of a dollar? Do you even know how to be thankful? Or yes, obviously you're thankful and you're happy and you're crying, but like, is it really resonating how lucky you are? Or do you just expect that all the time now?
And let's be clear, an Audi or Mercedes, I would not get. I still put that up there with the Porsche. I would say more like an Outback, a Hyundai, beautiful new Hyundai, a new, they have so many cars now that look really fancy, that are really good,
Yeah,
solid cars, but the price tag is so much lower.
right.
You know, to me, it's just materialistic. And especially when you're 16, you're a new driver. Kids need to learn. And a lot of kids, when they're 16, do have, unfortunately, fender benders or accidents. I think it's better actually, and your sister told me this, to learn on a bigger car a lot of times too.
Well, it is a big
Yeah,
car, I think, right? The Porsche.
yeah, but I mean like a
But I
big,
guess to aspire to something too, like you want to aspire to buying yourself a Porsche or getting your next car.
right,
But if you get that right away, I actually know a lot of mom podcasts I listen to, like
okay,
Kale Lowry and Lindsay Chrisley. And Beaver. I could already hear them being like, absolutely that F not. Like my kid's not getting that. They're getting
right.
a normal car. Like I would not spoil my kid. And I think a lot of moms agree exactly what you're saying. They would never want to spoil their kid like that. And that moms know it does lead to bad things and just not that. I don't know. I
Right.
think a lot of people would agree with you.
Right. I mean, like, I think it depends on the circumstance, but I just don't think it's a necessity to have to buy your child at 16 a Porsche. I mean, listen, I could have afforded it. I chose not to. Maybe even if you only have one kid, maybe somebody does that. I just personally would never do that. I wasn't raised that way. We all spend our money differently, but I just feel that get a sound car that does well in turbulent weather, whether you're in the, you're in California with the mudslides and the rainstorms, or you're in Connecticut with the snowstorms. There's plenty of years to get a fancy car. But what are you teaching your kid if you just throw money at them about that? Then they expect that. And again, that's great. I just think it's overkill. I just find it overkill.
I agree. I
You
totally
have a
agree.
Honda. You can't wait to get a new car that's something nicer, that's a step up. And Hondas are great, but you want something a little, as
Yeah.
you're shaking your head, you want something a little bit more, elegant,
New.
or sporty, or new.
Right, I know. It's so funny. It's so true. It's so true. But I definitely want to see this play out on the season of Beverly Hills. I
Yeah.
want to hear what's happening with Portia. I want to hear what's happening with Dory and Kyle Mauricio. So this just brought me back into the hills of Beverly, and now I gotta watch. I want to
Wait, I know we've been out of touch with all that, which brings me the question. Her name is Porsche. Is that why they gave her a Porsche?
So I
Porsche?
like that we're going to end on that note because TMZ asked Kyle that and she said, maybe that had something to do with it. And then she ended the interview.
All right.
That's
So
funny.
give her a pass.
Give her a pass. All right, guys, check out this awesome interview with Leo. We hope you enjoy it.
We did. We loved it. Welcome back to the Generational Rundown. This month we're doing topics on mental health, and we have the wonderful Leo Figueredo. I can't say his name still after 5 years. Figueredo, who's our personal trainer. We do him, actually, Alzera used to work out with him in person, but since she moved to LA and I've always worked out with him, by Zoom, for the last 5 years, 5 or 6 years. And he actually got me into doing strength training, which I had never done, coming from a figure skater background and always doing, the 80s workouts and aerobic stuff. He's been a really great inspiration in my life and helped me really build my strength up, being a petite woman myself, and really feel better in my body with strength. So we're here to talk about mental health and how training has helped him and how he feels it helps others. Right, Alexandra?
Yeah, I'm so excited, Leo. Thank you so much for being here. I started working out with you like 5, 6 years ago. And not only did you transform my body, but I just feel like the confidence and the strength that came with that, actually feeling so strong in my everyday life, has been phenomenal. But we want to hear a little bit about your background. So can you take us through your fitness journey and how you became this amazing, successful trainer?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So it all started back in high school. I was bullied as a kid. I had acne, I had glasses, I had what else? Oh, and my mom used to dress me. I had bad hair. So I was a prime target to all bullies, right? So and I was overweight. I weighed 245 pounds. I had 40% body fat, and my waistline was a 38. So, growing up, I was the prime target, like I said, of being bullied, and a lot of the kids will make fun of me, like with my weight, and also the girls were very mean in my generation, you know, and one particular girl, she would say, I don't date fat guys, so she was really mean, and then I used that as I took that as fuel to, like, I got to do something about it. I really want to get the girl, and watching a lot of movies. I was like, it related to my life. Like my whole life was pretty much like a movie. Like, she's all that, but a guy and a chubby guy. So I could, like, describe my high school, middle school journey was like that. Like, I was the dork, I was overweight, I wasn't attractive, and my mom noticed that I was, very sad and all that, and she joined me, and we both joined at the gym, and I instantly, started seeing changes because I was so fueled, and I wanted to get in really good shape. And my mom hired a trainer, and she was attractive, she had a great body, and I was like, that motivated me, like, just by seeing her. And I worked with her, but I milked the workout session. Like, I'll be asking her a ton of questions. I'll be like, what's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? And she was, she was super nice to me. So I felt comfortable, because this is all new. Like, I never imagined myself working out and all that. And back then, it wasn't common for a 16-year-old to work out. Usually, and I'll tell my classmates I'm at the gym, they're like, yeah, right. They don't believe me. And, so also I had social anxiety. I felt because my mom used to switch me from school to school. In elementary, I went to like 3 different schools, and middle school I went to 2 different schools. So imagine I didn't have interaction, and also I didn't have like my friends that have been friends with me since I was in
Right.
kindergarten or whatever,
No
or first grade.
consistency, no consistency at all.
So I was very insecure, and I had issues. That's why I was the prime target as well. Not only my looks, but also my personality. I was always a new kid. So right when I joined the gym, I felt sense of community, and people will compliment me, say, "Oh my God, you're doing a good job," like all that, and they'll be thinking like they'll be telling me like, "Oh, you're doing good." I started losing weight right away because I'm very determined. I was always like on point with my food, and I told my grandma like, "Please cook healthy for me." And my grandpa used to take me to the gym. He would like drop me off, and I'll work out for like 3 hours a day.
Wow. And you started young. You started at 16, you said, which now
That's
I think a lot of kids start young, and there's a lot of teenagers in the gym and late teens. But back then, I feel like it was almost unheard of to get in the gym that young and start a sense of discipline so young.
Yeah, so that helped me, and even in my school, and also my communication skills. So like my mental health improved because I was around people that want to get to know me, that talk to me, and they saw my progression, they saw my changes and all that, and that really got me, like, my confidence went up like tremendously. And even I got approached by the manager of the gym, and that's how I literally got started working at the gym, because the manager approached to me, and he asked me, he wanted to hire me. He asked me like, all that, and I wasn't of age till I turned 18.
So
So that's how I got started.
how long would you say it took you to see that transition from being that chubby kid that was insecure and shy
Two
to
months. 2
2 months?
months. 2 months. I dropped down 30 pounds.
Wow.
Wow. And so that began the transformation. And did your confidence start as you lost the weight? It kind of started becoming more and more.
Yeah, that at first, that was my thing. Working out was my thing. I was confident about that. My whole evolution of my personality and all that started changing to I was like 22. That's when I'm like all time high.
Wow. And you're feeling good. You're working in the gym now, right at 22. So you graduate high school and then you went right into the workforce and you were grinding and working at the gym. What was that like? Because I imagine too, fitness has evolved throughout the years. So I'm sure when you started, you might have been doing some aerobics, some more fun 80s, 90s trend workouts versus right now it's like traditional strength training. What was that like?
So it was funny because I started, I was supposed to do cardio like after my workouts for like 30 minutes. And I hate and it's funny, the cardio equipment was facing the aerobics room at the time. And I'll be like, oh my God, I want to join that, like step aerobics. I was like, I want to get in that class. And so I was like, I don't want to do this. So I got in the class, and it was funny because I was I just jumped right in, and everybody's like aerobics, step aerobics was choreographed. So all the people in the class have been taking that instructor for years. So everybody knows, okay, go right, go left. Like they know the songs, even they would sing along in the tapes back then. And yeah, so I got into that, and then I was like, and I said, I'm gonna be good at it. I'm gonna work hard, and in a month I caught on, and that also helped me lose weight.
Nice.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
So I got certified when I was 18 to teach step aerobics.
Oh,
I got certified. So
That
I got
must be so
certified,
fun.
and it was funny because I used to take the step classes with one instructor I love. And right when I got certified, she asked me, could I cover your class? I was like, what? And the class would be like 80 people. Like, and I was one of the, the people who would take it. And I was like, okay. And right, like literally it was a weekend. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday that I did the course and I got certified right away. And I taught that Monday,
Wow.
fresh off that Monday. And I'll never forget my first song. So the first song was the Bengal Bus. You know, the Bengal Bus is coming. Da na na na.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Did you make that playlist? Did you put
So
that?
I made the playlist. Yeah, it was all trance back in the day. I had that song. I had ATB. I had, what's another song that's very popular? Heaven.
Yes,
All
I
these
love that
old
song.
trance songs,
It's so good.
Castles in the Sky, but the Bengal Bus, I'll never forget. And I was on stage, it was like a little platform, right? And everybody was behind, like in front of me. And I was like, I looked at everybody, I kind of like froze in the beginning. And then I heard the beat and I was like, you know what? This is gonna make me or break me. And then I'm like, boom, I got into it. And then I was like getting the crowd into it, and that was it. My confidence went up because I was like, I didn't mess up because imagine I was fresh out of the certification. And I'd done so many classes, so already I was, I was good. I already got like I was mimicking my professor, like how she was, and I learned from her. She was my mentor pretty much. And yeah, that's it. That's how I got. And then when I graduated from high school, I got approached by the manager of training, and she loved seeing my classes. She would always say, like, "Oh my God, you're awesome. I want to take your class." And then she's like, "Oh," and she offered me. And actually, her name is Seven, and she was Britney Spears' personal trainer right when after she had her kids. So she was my boss.
Wow.
So she mentored me to be a trainer. I'll never forget. Her name is Seven Boggs. That was her name. I don't know if I could say that if it's allowed, but whatever.
Yeah, you can
I
say it.
love.
Yeah, I mean, that
Okay.
was years ago.
Yes. Yeah, I love that woman. She was amazing. She actually trained me. Yeah, she trained me, and she was always in on the commercials. She was always like, on. She was always on TV. I was like, man, I want to be like her.
Great.
So that's like where I got my inspiration. And she hired me. So imagine I have this woman that's on TV. She is Bally Total Fitness
Remember
star
Bally's?
trainer. She's the star trainer. She's like the model. She's like in commercials, in the videos, in books, like magazines. She's all that, and she offered me because she saw something in me and she hired me. So that's it. My confidence level just poof,
And
skyrocketed.
and then from there, what happened, Leo? From there, then
So there I got, imagine I was 18 years old and I was working with grown men and women, 18 years old. And I will never forget my first client. She had schizophrenia,
oh my gosh.
and she was good. Like I got her, to train. She was getting great results. And I remember she stopped showing up to our sessions. I was like, oh, what's going on? And 2 weeks later, she ended up with another trainer. So she like left me and went to another trainer. And I was like, whoa, whoa. And I didn't approach them in the session, right? I talked to them after the session, in closed office. And I asked them, like, she's my client. And he goes to me, go away, kid. You don't know what you're doing. And that hit me. So imagine my confidence was up. I was all happy. I had my first client, and then she stopped training with me. And then this guy said, you're no good. And that was actually, I quit training
Did you know that
after
she
that
was
moment.
schizophrenic? Did you know at the time that she had schizophrenia, or you
Yeah,
didn't
I
know?
knew that, but imagine I was so young. I
Right.
didn't think that, but imagine she stopped training with me. So I was like, you know what? I'm no good as a trainer. I'm just gonna keep teaching.
Right. So in those
So
moments when because fitness does really create so much confidence, but obviously things happen in life that knock you down. So how do you feel that fitness like that can bring you back up? Because what if you're not motivated? What if something happens in your personal life and like you said, you want to quit training or you don't feel good, even though you see results and working out really does create endorphins? How do you bounce back and how do you fix your mental health from something like that with fitness?
so how I fixed my mental health, how I got back in on the saddle again, I had other people come up to me after my class. They're like, "Hey, are you a trainer? Hey, are you a trainer?" Blah blah blah. And then that's it. So I got clients from the classes, and then I got back on the saddle, and I'm like, you know what, and I had to. It was funny because I had to because at the time it was back in 2004, and this was the recession back
Yeah.
in the day. Like my mom lost her job, and I had to step it up. I was teaching 15 classes a week, but that wasn't covering.
Wow.
I was teaching 15 step classes a week, and I was like, I got to get back on training. I got rehired because I was still there, but I was a hybrid. I was like the first like Orange Theory type of like, group instructor trainer. I was the first one that pioneered this back in 2001. I did both.
Okay. And what do you like more? Do you feel like you like training or do you like classes or is it equal?
You know what? I love both equally. Why? Because I like to be on stage. I love the thrill. I love seeing people happy. I love seeing people like, bobbing to the music and getting all into my classes and they go, woo, 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 that. And I love performing. Like I was like a performer. And I love the other aspect of personal training that I see the people one-on-one and I get them amazing results and I see it in a personal level. So that's how she's like, you'll be an amazing trainer. You motivate 80 people in a class. So one-on-one is going to be a piece of cake, you
Yeah.
know?
So your journey is really what inspired you to take this on as your career path. And do you feel that there's been any misconceptions that you had or people had from when you started to where you are now? Like, because it has changed so much. Like Alexander was saying, like the 80s was the aerobics and spinning was not a thing then, right? Then spinning evolved later on. So do you feel like what were the misconceptions that you had or that people have, like from
So,
then to now?
yeah. So at that time, I was in both worlds. So it was either people doing cardio or doing lifting. I brought those both worlds together, like in
Ah,
my community. I
okay.
started a trend before it was cool. Like I was ahead of my time
Yeah.
because a lot of trainers stopped doing this. Why? Because they couldn't evolve because they're one on one and they have like they won't handle like a group of people.
Right.
So
It's
I
too
had
much to do
both.
both.
Yeah, I had both. So, and nowadays, CrossFit and all these other gyms, the trainers already have charisma. I'm like charismatic, and
Right.
Yeah.
that's what you
You
need to
are.
be an instructor, or
You
nobody's gonna
definitely
want to take
are.
your class.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, you
had the
got me
charisma,
hooked.
plus I had the skills, and I had the knowledge, and then I combined both, and that's how I got how I got into it, and how I kept afloat for 20. It's already 22 years. I've been doing this already 22 years.
Right.
Well, the other thing
Yeah.
too, Leo, when you started, obviously back then, there wasn't all this social media and all that. And when COVID hit, that's when you came into well, actually, no, I take that back. I met you prior to COVID. So prior to COVID, right before, maybe a year before or several months before, right, Alexandra?
Mhm.
I met you when you were in the same building as Alexandra, and we liked you so much. And so we decided to take you on as our trainer remotely, you being in Miami and us being Vinny and I being in Connecticut. So that was something we really enjoyed. And then when COVID hit, it made sense, right? Because we still wanted to continue, and it's all we ever knew. So when COVID then fast forward happened, how did that impact your journey? Change for the better, change for the worse? How did you see that trend? For us, it was no different. but for everybody else, it was a huge change. Were you worried about it? Did you feel it was actually a better way to get results? What did you think about it?
So during COVID, it was a hit for the fitness community for sure. Like a lot of trainers I know went out of business, or they couldn't thrive. I'm the type of person, like, I'm a survivor. I'm a hard worker, and I'm really good at what I do. So I was able to adapt, like doing this Zoom, like what we're in right now. It's hard to train someone like that, but I made myself do it, and I was good at it. So people that, like, you guys got great results. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I I adapted my skills with all the years. Plus, I worked well under adversity. Like, like my mom losing her job, I had to step it up. Rolled my end. Like, all that is in my mind. So and also I've gone through mergers of companies. Like, I've been through, like, I've been down rock bottom, but I've always, like, I saw a video podcast, and he says all those successful people, they hit rock bottom. Like, if you don't hit rock bottom, you're never gonna thrive. You need failure. If there's no failure, there's no success. So I failed. Like I told you, that first time around, I failed, but that made me better. Like, I thrived from that failure. So when COVID hit and, like, gyms were closed, people, like, people were, like, out of it, right? Everybody wanted to be secluded with their families, or by themselves. I, you know, I like my instinctual, like, my instinct started hitting me, and I'm convincing people, like, you need to be active. And also, I did my research on COVID. Guess what? It hits people that are obese. People that have obesity and old age. That's, like, the most vulnerable people. So guess what? I told people, like, you still need to work out, or you might get COVID and might pass away because it affects the obese population. So that also helped my career, because now people want to be more fit because of these type of illnesses that affect, like, your body in that sense of being obese.
Right. And
And I also, go
you
ahead,
adapt
Alessandra.
to everything. You have great adaptation skills. You've faced adversity a lot in your life. But in general, what do you think of social media now? Because even before COVID, but now especially, there are so many random workout videos. Anyone can hop on YouTube, show you a 5-minute ab, 5-minute back, but that's not the actual one-on-one of a trainer for your specific body type, watching your form, going over what your specific needs are. What do you think about fitness trainers nowadays who can just post this online and social media and use that to engage a platform of millions of followers? But are they actually even trainers? Are they actually doing the right moves? What do you think about things like that?
So social media to me is an amazing tool. And what I notice about a lot of these trainers, all these fitness influencers, they all sound alike. They all have the same cookie cutter. Oh, you need to be in a calorie deficit. That's all I hear. Calorie deficit to get in shape. One person says it, and then everybody starts saying it because they see that works for them. So I feel a lot of fitness influencers, they're all, like, generic.
Mm-hmm.
They don't stand out. That's what I'm saying. There's, like, you could go on YouTube, you could spend days, you have workouts for days, weeks, months, years, and it's all cookie cutter. They're all, like, the same thing. They're all, like, they say the same thing. It's like literally they copy each other's videos. So that's what I noticed, and that's why, like, for me, like, I get people results because I don't do that. I literally get to know the person. I analyze them. I sit down with them and I find out their habits and study all that. So by that's why they get results. And when you do these workouts without knowing where you're at in your fitness level and all that, wouldn't work. That's why, Deb, remember back then there were these disco tapes and all these aerobic
Yeah.
tapes and these
Yeah.
workout, the P90X and all that.
Right.
I
Yes,
used to do
yes.
P90X.
I did
Okay, guess
P90X.
what? All that is collecting dust.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but now social media.
Right. So
Right.
true.
And it's
It
so
all collect dust. And how about these apparatuses? Remember, Deb? Like, oh, the lounge ab chair, and this and that. Remember all those, Deb?
yes, yes. I mean,
So
I
guess
remember,
what?
yeah.
What do you think they all have in common?
Well, they tell you to do the sit-ups, they tell you to
But
do
what one thing does they have? Like, what does it have in all those you purchased in the past? What do you think they all had in common?
um
Branding or
Nope.
celebrity behind them.
They have a nutritional book, a
Oh,
diets.
of what to
All
eat.
of them come with a
Yeah,
booklet.
wow.
yeah,
Why do you think that?
Because you can't actually lose the weight from that machine.
right,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They all come. That's all they have in common. They come with an instruction on how to eat.
Right.
Because
That's what I'm saying.
I feel like in the 80s when I was growing up, it was more like not about losing weight. It was about doing aerobics just to move your body. Like I don't remember it to the extent it is today. I felt it was more about just getting back to movement, how important movement is. I don't remember it being about we got to do it to lose weight. Like I remember Jane Fonda doing the Jane Fonda, Richard Simmons, and there was a whole dance aerobics. My mother used to do jazzercise. Nana did jazzercise, but it wasn't so much tied in my era to getting thin and skinny. It was more about fitness and movement. And I feel like sometimes we lose that. We lose the importance of, trying to be healthy. So as we get older and we go through menopause and we get older and our bones get thinner, we need to make us stronger. So like I feel like what I've evolved to is through you, like you taught me the whole importance of strength training. In my whole life, I was a figure skater, I was doing aerobics, I was doing kickboxing, but never did I do strength training. It's the first time in my life that I really, like, I would dabble in the machines. Like, I would do an aerobic class at Bally's, and then I'd go to the machines. I'd be like, oh God, I get 1 hour personal training, and then I try to do it for the whole year. And I would, do the abductor, whatever, for the thighs, but I didn't do it seriously. And then, my rec center in my town, since I live in Richfield, I remember doing that and I didn't really enjoy it. And really, the first time I really learned to enjoy strength training is with you, learning TRX and then integrating the weights, the free weights, the heavier weights. And so for me, it's more about strength and trying to be stronger. And like, Leo, I've had a bunch of injuries where it's silly things where I've been clumsy and I've come right back because of the strength training. I feel if I didn't have that strength training, I wouldn't be as resilient. And then even for you, I have to give you kudos. You were in a very serious car accident a few years ago. And someone like your physique, yes, you're strong, you're whatever, you're muscular, but because you had such a discipline of training,
You healed yourself within months.
yeah, you healed yourself.
Yeah.
You were resilient and you were able to bounce back as that and doing the moves. I mean, you listened to your body and you took time off, but you also didn't allow the doctors to tell you that you couldn't do anything and you needed an operation. You got back stronger than ever by working back to what you were.
Right.
Just
And I feel that nowadays everyone weight trains. I really feel the era of the cardio bunny is dead. And everyone I know contributes their weight loss or their muscle mass to strength training. Even people of all age groups who I know, they started adding heavier weights and they started doing more weight training because that is really the key at any age to building muscle when you're younger. But then when you're older, keeping muscle and keeping your bones safe and secure for what if you hurt yourself or whatever happens at an older age. So really at any age, I feel that strength training, and maybe that just comes with like the science as time went on, Leo, like you started doing the cardio, but as science evolved, people got into weight training, into the TRX once that was invented, which for those of you who don't know, the TRX is an awesome machine created by a guy in like the military that you can throw over your door and do all your body weight exercises with. But it's really interesting to see how I feel that everywhere I look now, especially girls my age, they do weight training.
Yeah, for sure. It's just that like things have evolved. Like there's so many studies, there's so much research, and a lot of myths have been debunked. So all this information's out there. So that's why this is turning into like its own world. Like fitness
Right.
has turned to like this huge world, like that, that I was actually able to tie it in with everything. Like, I work with all types of people. I work out clients that are doctors, lawyers. I train, athletes. I just worked with a volleyball player, a collegiate volleyball player. Like it ties in with everybody. You still need to work out. And like when you brought up about my accident, like physical therapy is working out.
Yes.
And I actually, like, I was scared to train people that got injured. I'll be like, no, 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 we'll start after you're done. I literally broke my leg, I broke my bones, and I tore my ACL, and I worked out. So I was like, you can't give me any excuses. So,
It's so true. And you've trained every walk of life, like you mentioned, but let's talk a little bit about my favorite walk of life, Hollywood. Okay,
oh yeah,
I want to get into some celebrity topics because obviously one of the biggest places everyone sees diet culture and fitness and everything is in celebrities. Like when you turn on the TV, everywhere you look. So let's just get right into it. The biggest thing right now is Ozempic that has slimmed down everybody. And now, honestly, I can't look at anybody without being like Ozempic, Ozempic. And it's sad for those who actually have worked their butt off and like lost weight, but decided to lose weight around the same year that Ozempic came out because now I don't believe you. But I want to get from a trainer's perspective your thought on Ozempic because also on both ends, people say, you know what, why don't you just get your butt to the gym and work out? But other people say, hey, look, I'm insulin resistant and I can't lose the weight. So where do you stand in this?
okay. You know where Ozempic came from, right?
No, where?
Came from a lizard. They extracted their venom of the lizard. So whoever's a vegan and is on Ozempic, they should think about life.
Is this true, Leo? How'd you hear about that?
So because I got into Ozempic because I started working with a ton of people that have that are on it.
Mhm.
A lot of people are on it. So I want to see what is it about. So I did my research about it, and they extract it from a lizard that goes months and months without eating.
Wow.
So it stays alive. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it lives in the desert.
Oh,
So
wow.
so yeah, like it's crazy. So that's where they get that medication from a lizard. They synthesize it and they create the shots in it. So you're literally, you know, consuming a lizard. So and its metabolism and all that.
Right.
But
So
Leo, people that are on it that, like in my mind, people that should only be on it are the ones that are insulin dependent, that diabetics. Don't you think that like too many people are just doing it as an easy way out that don't have the diabetic, they're not in danger. There might be danger of like if they're obese or something, but people are just doing it as a quick fix. What's your thought about it? Do you
okay,
agree?
this is like the new thing. This is a fad. Everybody's on it. I've been in this industry for 22 years. I've seen pills, I've seen shakes, I've seen the cookie diet, I've seen keto, I've seen the Atkins, I've seen all these different trends.
Right.
And what they all have in common, you stop doing it, what happens?
You
Boom.
gain the weight back.
That's right.
So it's all the same bull. There's no pill or there's nothing that's gonna magically make you skinny.
Right.
So this
Well, this came close.
medication,
This came close, but long
this
term.
but this medication, what it does, it slows down your digestion, so you get full right away. So you eat a steak halfway, you're done. You can't eat the whole thing. So it paralyzes your digestive process. And it also, depending on the type of drug, like Majorno sends like science signals to your brain that you're full. So I think Ozempic is great for people that are clinically obese, that have issues, people have insulin resistance. You know, I I don't think it should be someone that could just get their butt in the gym, Like that is fine. I understand for people that are diabetic, like leave that for the diabetics or what, but I understand it's a quick fix, but long term, is not realistic. So you got to be on it for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Plus, it's like what I say about steroids. A lot of people are on steroids. If you don't eat right, you don't work out, you're not going to get the benefits from the steroids. Same thing with the Ozempic. If you're not eating enough protein and you're losing a ton of weight, you're going to lose muscle mass and your muscles literally deteriorate. I see people that are on it that they're getting like the Olympic face, they're like this,
Right, sagging.
and they're losing a ton of weight, but they're not building muscle. And that's gonna be affecting them not 5 years from now, not 10, 15, 20 years, when they're older, when they're in their 60s and their 70s and their 80s. They're, they're for women especially, there's osteoporosis, there's all these different, all these different diseases that derive from bone density loss. And like when you don't have muscle, when you're on Ozempic, you need to eat at least a gram a pound per protein per pound you weigh. When you're on Ozempic, you have to eat like me.
Yeah.
Like I
But then you
eat,
don't have the
I consume
appetite,
about
so
200 grams of protein. Like you got to eat a ton of protein, or no, you're gonna lose muscle like that. Because guess what? The first thing that burns off in your body is your muscle. Your body does not touch the fat. The body uses the fat is sacred to the body. That's the last thing it wants to touch. Because when we were Neanderthals, when we were cavemen and women, we used to hunt. We used to like go through famine. So sometimes we don't eat. So our bodies are designed for us to starve. So it stores fat like a bear. It goes to hibernation. What it does, it eats and then it hibernates.
Right.
So that's how it is. And I tell people you have to be on point with your food. And if you do that, you'll still lose weight. You don't have to be on medication, but the medication, it controls your eating. So I agree with it.
Yeah.
If you need it, also maybe if you need like a little kickstart, like I've gotten people that got on it and they got off of it,
So when you work with somebody that's on Ozempic, do you try to educate them, like you're telling us,
Yeah.
about how they can transition and get off it? Or do you find that most of your clients don't want to hear it, that are on Ozempic, and they're just like, nope, we're going to use you, but we're staying on that Ozempic?
I have some people that transition off of it, and I help them transition off of it just fine. And I noticed that when they stop working out with me, because they trained I had one train for her wedding, and she gained probably like 10, 15 pounds off of it when she
Wow.
got off of it, and she stopped training with me, and then she came back. She trained to look good,
Right.
and that's what happens. When you don't eat, your metabolism slows down. So your metabolism is what burns the calories, burns the fat, and all that. If it's low, if your metabolism is very low, you're gonna gain weight.
yeah, and
So
so it's really a lifestyle. What it is eating right and working out, because obviously people can do quick fixes for weddings, things like
yeah.
that. But how would you say someone should get motivated if they want to be dedicated and they want to get into the gym, but they don't know where to start? Where do you start with something like that? Like I will save a podcast and I'll only listen to the podcast if I work out. So I look forward to the podcast by making myself work out, things like that. What do you suggest?
So what I tell people, where I notice a lot of people fail, they say I'm gonna work out, because you could be motivated, but are you disciplined? You could say I'm motivated, you could say I could do it, but are you disciplined? So I tell people you got to create the habit into working out. Just working out once a week, you're still gonna see results. Try once a week. When you get that habit, when you get that routine going, then you add more days, and then eventually you'll be working out 5-6 days a week if you keep it up for a long period of time. But the key is starting that healthy habit and not overdo it, because you get burnt out.
So what's the perfect balance? Like what would be your ideal client's weekly workout schedule?
So I recommend very basic, like the first month they could train like twice a week for at least an hour. And that's doable. That's 2 hours a week that you're dedicating to yourself, your self-care. And you could work your way up, and you could even maintain with 2 times a week. You still see results, but you definitely maintain completely.
Yeah, that's so true.
I was going to say, Leo, I could see you And I was going to say, what's next for you? But and if there's anything you've never done that you would love to do, but before I ask you that question, I could totally see you working with children in obesity. I could see you going into a summer camp. You would be amazing
And
motivator.
schools, yeah, to talk
Kids,
about
like,
your journey. Absolutely. I could see that. You could inspire a lot of little kids who might not have the resources to work out or even know how to start.
right. I think that would be an amazing thing for you to tackle. Having, grown up in that.
Wait, Leo did something like that once. Do you remember? You did do something like that once.
Yeah, I worked with kids in all the privileged kids. I
Yes,
worked with, remember that?
yes, I remember. It's all
Yeah,
coming back to me. Yeah, and some of them did
yeah.
kind of jerks and
So
didn't
I
want to work out.
yeah, and I got them actually all working out. They all
Yeah.
hated it. It's like their parents forced them because their parents are fitness freaks, and they made their kids work out. And these little chubby boys, they were like, ooh, they're all sad, and now they're like gym bros, you know.
I remember that.
But I think that would be good, like at a camp for obesity, where there's camps where kids are overweight and they want to slim down, not their parents making them, but they're just, to have that camaraderie and to hear your story is so inspiring. I
Mhm.
think that would be a great thing for you to achieve. I could totally see you doing that with kids. You have that warmth and love. Like I could totally see you working with kids and inspiring them, because it's sad, especially, do you feel that, not to put people in a box, but the kids that are socioeconomic, that the ones that are a little bit more deprived in terms of financial, with the parents that are underprivileged, have that issue with obesity more so than the wealthier kids? I mean, do you feel that there's a division there,
Mhm.
that you see it more
From
with
the
the,
ones I worked with, like the ones I've worked with in the past, I've worked with trust fund kids, and
yeah,
I've worked with, uh, middle class, and not, because I usually do one on one more. I've worked with different, right? And I noticed the ones that were in the best shape were actually the ones that have the money. Why? Because they have the resources to
right,
have a personal cook. They
right.
have,
The better
so for
food, like,
sure,
yeah,
yeah. And, the family, they're not going to go shopping at, they're not going to shop at Winn-Dixie or
right,
like what,
right,
they'll go to Whole Foods and they'll get better.
right. That's what I was getting.
So unfortunately, it's like that, and also like the ones that are, that make less money, they're more into fast food, and they do that. And also, I know people that have money. That's where they spend their money on Chick-fil-A, and so it could, like I didn't see a much different gap. And I know kids that are just playing PlayStation, and they have all these fancy
And you're on
stuff
your
and they don't
phone
want to
and your
leave the house.
iPad. Yeah, you don't
They're
leave your
on the
house anymore.
iPad. Imagine they're the poor kids that are probably going to be outside.
That's right.
So it,
And it's
it could,
actually terrible. You're right. Like kids these days just stay inside on their electronics. Like get outside,
yeah.
ride your bike, be in nature.
I worked with these kids. Like I remember I had two kids, two boys that I trained. One I took off 40 pounds and the other one took off 30. And they were lazy kids. I love them. And now they're like, now they love to work out and all that. So
Yeah.
it's, to me, that when I got, to me, like where I did my job, it was funny. I'll give you an example with one of them. His dad is a 5-star chef. He is a Michelin star chef. Like he's bakes, cooks the guy, and I would train him at their house. So one day they invited me to dinner. So he cooked, and and I sat down on the table and whatever, and my client, the kid, will come around and serve the food. And he did not touch the sweets. He didn't touch all that. And he had his chicken with his salad and his vegetables. And that, to me, I did my job, because he has all that in front of him, and I changed his lifestyle, because he knows he can't eat that, because he's trying to get to a certain. Even his mom's like, "Oh, and he's like, don't worry that." And I told him, "Don't worry, I'm here. That's fine. I don't care." He's like, "You're doing a good job." I'm like, "No, no, I don't want it." That, to me, I did my job,
Yeah.
because he had all that temptation that he used to love. Because imagine if my dad was a 5-star chef, whatever, I'll be fat too, you know.
That's
you
so,
have that.
yeah. So,
That's, you
yeah,
know,
you
it's
help kids
crazy.
meet their goals, which is incredible. But back to your question, let's talk about your goals. What do you want to accomplish that you haven't, or that you're looking forward to doing? Like, what is one big goal you have for yourself in your career?
Well, definitely I want to get more on the online space. I'm like focusing on building my social media, so raising my social media presence, because I started that literally during COVID. I started posting a lot more and all that, and I built my Instagram up. So definitely, like, I wanna, grow my social media presence. And then eventually I'll probably like I want to get into more TV. Like, I
Mm,
really wanna see if I get into TV, and then I could reach a broader audience, and especially work with kids and all that. That's like the main goal. And that's what they're on. They're on TikTok. Now I'm focused on TikTok because a lot of these kids are on it. So now I want to create my presence on it, and I could get to that generation because they could relate to me because I've been there.
I love that. And what is one thing you've learned about yourself on this journey?
What I learned about myself, that my personality is extreme, and it's could be very bad, but it could be very motivative for other. Like, my lifestyle is extreme, like how I live my life is so extreme,
That's
but
right.
I'm a good example to a person that's trying to get to a certain. That's like, for example, you got Gary V, you got all these guys that are like intense billionaires,
Right.
Yeah,
but they're motivating the people that want to be there. They
Right.
won't probably get to them, but they could get close. But they're extreme.
right.
The Elon Musks of the world, the Bill Gates of the world, like, they're like intense,
Right.
but that's why they're on top. So my crazy could say whatever, like, I have eating disorders, like, I could be in that, but I'm intense in that, but I'm motivating people and getting them to a right track.
Mhm. It's so
So I
true.
know my personality.
Right. And no, that really does help motivate other people too, because like you said, they have to start somewhere. And if they see you being a vision of inspiration, that'll get them motivated. So, Leo, where can everyone find you and find all of your motivation? Tell us where the viewers can go to find you and work out with you.
So all the social media handles, xcore_MIA, and my website is xcoremiami.com.
Love it. Thank you so much, Leo.
We're so happy to have you on
Thank you,
our
ladies, for having me. I
great.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, we hope we'll get some people that will do Zoom with you if they're not in the Miami area. I highly recommend doing Zoom because it's just as effective. Like I said, I've never done something like this for this long consistently when it comes to exercise other than ice skating. So thank you so much. It's been amazing, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.
Yes.